Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, legionnaires of all ages, welcome to the Wrestling Legion Weekly Podcast. What's left of me, is Nick the Geek, and I am joined, of course, by two cohorts, two co-conspirators, two completely brilliant people. I'm joined by the Redeemer himself, Andy. Andy, how the hell are you doing?
Good evening, everybody.
And we are joined, of course, by the blondest man in all of professional wrestling, the Joey Styles to my Tony Schiavone. We are joined by Simon. Simon, how the hell are you?
Slightly tired. It's been a long day. School holidays and all that. It's always good. But yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm surviving.
Well, that's about all we can ask for.
How are you?
I again
asked you how you are. How are you, dude?
I'm all right. I just woke up from a food coma 20 minutes ago. So
hey.
I'm doing okay.
Are you hungry again?
No, I'm not hungry again, but I've eaten an awful lot of food today.
What did you eat? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Oh, a roast beef, an onion gravy sandwich, a fresh Scotch egg. What else did I eat? A pot of coleslaw, steak and ale pie, and 2 raspberry and white chocolate pies.
You've been to a wedding, dude? You've been to a buffet?
No, just at home.
Anyway, on with the show.
Kitchen, Southport. Can't recommend it enough. Right, but on with the show, gents. Okay, everybody saw the title, and this one is inspired by Simon down here, because Simon has brought up some relatively considerable parallels between WrestleMania 14 and what is going on currently at WrestleMania 40, which I think we'll get into as we go. So, lads, is The Rock just Mike Tyson now?
Yes and no.
Go for it.
Yes and no. I think size Bob on the money, and to be honest, when I seen that that thing, it's like sometimes, when you see a post and it clicks your head and you go, hang on, that's a brilliant point, that. Or when I see Sai put that in our group before, I was like, I haven't even thought about that, and it was just a brilliant point. Yes, in the sense of I can see them using it, but in true wrestling style, they've recycled it and probably added to it, because we are going to get The Rock in the ring, I reckon. And then, but I do think that the end result will be very similar to Tyson.
As do I. Simon, you're the one who broke at this point, mate. You've got to have a lot to say.
Yeah, just to explain this theory to anyone who doesn't remember Mike Tyson at WrestleMania, it was WrestleMania 14. It was going to be HBK against Stone Cold Steve Austin. Sean's last match, he had a back injury. Mike Tyson came in, ended up being a special enforcer. But originally, for the best part of however long there is between Rumble and Mania, like 10 weeks, originally there were rumors all over the dirt sheets at the time, all over the old wrestling websites. Shout out to ProWrestling.com, OneWrestling.com, Lords of Pain, all the good old ones. Telling us that Tyson was actually going to wrestle. He was going to wrestle HBK, or then he was going to wrestle Steve Austin. They ended up putting him in as an enforcer. He went in as a heel. He took off his shirt to reveal a DX shirt at the end, if you remember. Or sorry, the other way around, to reveal the Stone Cold Steve Austin shirt underneath the DX shirt. And swerved us all. And I've been thinking for weeks, could something like this happen with The Rock? He does look like he's in ring shape. I tend to think maybe this wasn't the plan originally, but because of the internet kind of backlash that we had, things have been switched about. And if you're going to switch things about, you put The Rock with Roman. As patchy as it's been, it kind of works as a story. And then you have the happy ending, because if you're going to switch things around, Cody's taking that title. Is he going to take it when The Rock bottoms Roman? We get Cody as champ with a rematch against Roman in future. We get Rock versus Roman in Saudi. Rock's a good guy again. Most of the fans are happy. It could become some kind of tag match, or, he could be involved physically, but I think he's going to be an enforcer, and they're going to save that big money match with Roman for Saudi now. And final point on it, we're still going to get people complaining. If this theory's right, and if The Rock turns on Roman at WrestleMania, there's going to be half the internet that are saying, oh, this is awesome, this is cool. And there's going to be half saying, No, we wanted Hollywood Rock forever. We don't want him as a good guy. And the argument's going to carry on.
So
This-
I've been thinking about this when you said this, Si, and I was kind of like, okay, how do we get there with the Tyson moment at the end? And pretty much for me, the way we get there is we have the tag team match on night one, whether that main events it, I think it will. And then Solo and Jimmy potentially come in to try and help Rock and Roman. And Rock sees, his backside over it, and he turns around and kind of argues with Roman whether they lose the match or not. I'm not too fussed about that, but then he inserts himself as a special enforcer to make sure that the guys don't interrupt in the actual main event the next night.
Yeah,
because again with the bit for me that really is critical to this is the bit where he says about the family honor and don't mention my family. Now, by Solo and Jimmy inserting themselves in that match and trying to help them, to me, if you're the Rock and you're the macho guy who, the way he goes, is that's a disrespect to the family that they can't beat them clean. And that's where I think the Rock says, hang on a minute, this is not what I signed up for. I signed up to beat down on these, not to win by a sneaky decision.
So basically, The Rock believes that family honor is more important than chicanery and tactics, and turns to Roman that way. That makes perfect sense.
Can I add, just like Mike Tyson decided that being a member of 316 was more important than being a member of Degeneration X, which is why the title is what it is today.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
Can I also just say while we're on the record, so I've got to give a lot of the internet virgins a lot of abuse over the whole crying about Cody and stuff like that, but can I actually say thank you to the internet virgins? I can't believe I'm saying this, but thank you to all the Cody cuckolds, as I like to call them, because I like Cody, as I've always said. I really do like Cody, but for me, it was the same with last year. It was kind of a Rumble win, and then the build-up was absolutely rubbish, in my opinion. There wasn't really no connection with Roman and Cody, in my opinion. Last year, I felt like it was just kind of people wanted to see Cody because they wanted him to win. Where with all the shenanigans that's gone on, with all the internet virgins and everything else that's gone on here, I feel like now I'm really invested in the story and I want to see Cody win it now. And, I think that's because, to me, now, there's actually a story there where they tried to screw him out of it. Now he's going to, there's actually something there now that is really, really got me to be included, like feel included in it and want to see the end result.
It's got a lot more sizzle, hasn't it?
Yeah. And sometimes, they always say you got the head chef, but sometimes you need the sous to throw the nice sauce over it. And I think that's what the virgins have been.
Well, realistically, lads, I am over the moon that it's Cody versus Roman for the main event for obvious reasons. He's earned it. He's deserved it. But I was not going to be happy if we weren't getting The Rock in some kind of factor.
He doesn't earn it.
Now that we're getting the tag match, I think it's good for Seth. I think it's good for Cody. I think it's good for The Rock. I think it's good for Roman. I think Roman and Cody, just in my own opinion, should touch as little as possible in that tag match. I honestly think that Cody and Roman should barely go anywhere near each other in that tag match. It should always be Cody and The Rock, and it should always be Seth and Roman. I am under the assumption that Seth's there to take the pin. Would either of you disagree with that?
I'd like Cody to take the pin.
Oh,
just
no,
that last little dibble of adversity.
I think Cody pins Rock.
Ooh.
See, I don't know, because don't you think they're going to want Roman to go into the main event on night 2 super strong, Si?
Yeah, which is why he's not involved in the pinfall. That you cannot make Cody bigger going into night 2 than if there's a tag match on night 1 and if he pins Rocky on night 1.
I'll agree with you there.
Okay, so I've got two scenarios here.
Shoot.
So scenario 1 is Seth pins Roman because he gets his own back on the belt thing, saying that his belt wasn't worth much, right? But the way that he does it is the beatdown happens, Roman goes to pin Cody, and The Rock pulls him off, and then he rock bottoms him, and as he walks away, Seth crawls over and covers him or what have you. That's one,
So
and then you can turn around.
You think The Rock will pull Roman off?
Yeah. That's scenario one. I mean, I'd pull Rock off, but that's a different thing. But on the other scenario, grow up, Simon. Come on.
you like a bit of strudel?
The people's.
As long as it's the people's.
It doesn't matter if you like the strudel. Sorry, dude. Go on.
Wait. Or option number 2, which I don't think people even look at, is Roman turns on Rock because he's jealous that he's been in the background, and he starts screaming at him, "I'm the only tribal chief." And then obviously I think then Cody pins Roman, maybe. Cody. One of them pinned The Rock because Roman walks away. Or they help The Rock, one of the two. They could have them all beat down on The Rock.
I just see it as part of the package. If we're going to have Rock Roman in Saudi, which I think was kind of what they wanted to do anyway before The Rock was pushing for Mania, if you believe what you read, then that is the big match. And if The Rock is going to set that up on WrestleMania Night 2, then it really, no pun intended, it doesn't matter if he lays down for Cody on Night 1.
No. See, I think, to be honest, the more I think about it, right, Sardi, the more that I think about it, the more I think to myself, it's going to be Roman that turns on Rock. Right. All right, Dale, get back to work.
Yeah, 7 weeks, Dale.
I know. Sardi's there as well, aren't you, Sard? You're at Mania.
Tidy, you go to Mania?
I'm sure he is. But yeah, the more I think about it, the more I like the fact of Roman turning on Rock with that jealousy. Because if you look back at that graphic as well, in that graphic, Roman was referred to as Joseph and Roman Reigns. The Rock was the High Chief. He was referred to. So,
but can I ask you a question there? Was this graphic made before they decided to change the story round?
Well, not
was
really.
That originally to show dissension between Rock and Roman, and they just didn't change it?
No, because
I think it's there to put dissension in between Rock and Roman now.
Yeah, and it depends.
Like I said, I think that Rock and Roman win Night 1, but I think they cheat to win. And like Andy said, this pisses The Rock off.
Okay.
Who will then, through being angry and inadvertently end up being the one that helps Cody win on Night 2.
Yeah.
And at the end of the night, the last thing we see is The Rock raising Cody's arm.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good graphic. The other way you could go with it is you could have. I mean, depending on how much of a heel Rock becomes and how how much of a heel and how red hot Rock gets on that, you could potentially have The Rock turn on Roman, because then that could be the charge to Roman becoming the babyface. If you wanted to go down that route, that's
comes
the way
to my next point of this. It is being widely reported by Sean Ross Sapp and others that The Rock will be leaning heavily into his new heel persona, drawing heavily from his early 2000s Hollywood rock gimmick. God, bring back the Rock concert. Please, for the love of God.
Fun fact for you. I actually saw the Rock concert 2 live at a Raw in St. Louis in 2003.
Wow.
Yeah. Amazing.
Wow.
Amazing.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, well,
I reckon you could also get corporate Rock. I don't think that they even know whether he's going to go Hollywood Rock or not. I think they're just assuming.
Well, think of it this way, Andy. This time, I know you really want corporate Rock, but this time it kind of makes sense if he kind of blends the two.
Yes, it does, and that's where hopefully
he is corporate Rock in real life, and he is also Hollywood Rock in real life.
Yeah.
So if he blends,
did you guys see the distinction thing though? There was a reporter that was kind of trying to, get one of those got you questions with him about his comeback to WWE not going that well because he was being booed by the fans. So The Rock really subtly, I forget the exact wording, but it was something like, this is the role I'm playing with the volume turned up so they can boo me. That's what we do here. So he was kind of saying, I'm not being booed because they don't want me here. I'm being booed because they want to boo me.
Yeah.
Dale
Big
says there,
difference.
Monday after Mania, Jacob Fatu gets introduced, or is it like an Umaga type entrance against someone like The Miz? No, I think we might see Jacob in the lead up to it, or at Mania itself.
Yeah.
We could do, and that's where, and that's where you could maybe start the Roman Reigns babyface push, because you could have Jacob Fatu attack Roman on behalf of The Rock.
Well, maybe El Solo comes down, gets countered. Jimmy comes down, gets countered. Cody and Seth think they've got everything won. Then Jacob comes out of the crowd. Bing, bang, boom.
Yeah. There's a lot of ways that you could go with it, isn't there? I mean, me personally, I hope, as much as I love Hollywood Rock, I love corporate rock, I love it all together. The only reason I keep saying corporate rock is because it makes sense with the corporate stuff. But
Yeah.
I hope in a couple of years' time we're all talking about High Chief Rock, and that's what is the kind of this run is the High Chief Rock. You know what I mean? So
maybe that'll
cool.
be a special kind of belt they'll make for the Saudi show when it eventually happens, or next year at Mania, whenever.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they'll have a special lay.
Yeah.
But talking about Jacob Fatu, guys, I know you guys like him as well. I've been a fan for years, like watching him in MLW all over the place. It would be great seeing him coming in as part of this family tree, and the door is, there, the perfect time for him to do that. But let me ask you both honestly, wouldn't you rather see Jacob Fatu come in with a different manager and a unique storyline and see the return of Armando Alejandro Estrada?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I would like to see Armando come back. That would be good.
He was so good, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was fantastic. Yeah. It was the only good thing about the modern day version of ECW. The only good thing, besides CM Punk.
And John Morrison.
And the Zombie. No, wait.
No, in all honesty, like I do. Yeah, I'd like to see that. I just don't see them doing it. If they could add another onion to the layer to the onion. But it depends. I think the thing that we've got to ask ourselves as well, guys, is like, how long does this bloodline keep going for? Is the idea up to Saudi? Is it up to SummerSlam? Is it, okay, we didn't do it at 40, we'll do it at 41? It's what do we do here? And I think dependent on that will depend on where the other guys all land.
Do you see theoretically
the long gamer?
But he's not going to be that active, though, is he? I was just going to say, like, theoretically, if Roman finishes up in 6 months or whatever, which is rumored, if The Rock isn't around until at least next year at Mania, would you keep Heyman around and have him like run the stable of potentially Solo, Jimmy, and Jacob Fatu?
I think basically you could keep it going for another year. So I think Roman would sign on for the next 6 months, down to the fact that he gets his Rock match, which is big money anyway. I also think that in the meantime, you can keep doing Heyman with Sikoa, maybe add Jacob to it, and then do it that way. But either way, you could get, especially with Roman without the belt, I feel like you could stretch it out for another year, 100%.
Okay.
I don't know if you can stretch it for another year. You got to realize, I mean, if we go back 5 years ago, this storyline would never have happened anyway, because the business moved 10 times the speed before Triple H took over. And Vince's WWE, if they did a story 2 months down the line, guys talked. Guys were having the match in 8 weeks.
But I don't want to piss on your bonfire. But it was The Rock, wasn't it? Like, okay, maybe 12 years ago that did the once in a lifetime, and then the rematch a year later with Cena. Yeah. So The Rock has done like year-long storylines before.
Yeah, well, that's why I called him a long gamer before.
Yeah.
Which he's called himself. So I do potentially think we don't get the Roman match till next year, the one-on-one. But
and that's
I also think there's a high chance it's done in Saudi, because I know the company really wants that match for Saudi.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. It depends on which way you just want to go with it. I mean, the good thing about this is I feel you get that belt off Roman. Cody can go off and do what he does with the belt and whatnot. And then you can build that at your own leisure, because instead of becoming everything on the show, it will be part of the show, which is great. And that's where I feel like you can get away with it. Because it's not let's face it, there's been times, especially in the last 12 months, where if there's no bloodline on SmackDown, it's been absolutely awful. And I feel like if you don't have the belt on Roman, and you've got Cody there, and you've got Knight now coming in, and a few others and whatnot, is like that you can do things that the bloodline doesn't have to be the main storyline anymore. And
this is true. They have enough of a backbone to SmackDown these days that the bloodline doesn't have to be the sole focus. But I feel like it's going to be the main driving force behind the heel side of the storylines on SmackDown until this situation is rectified.
If Cody wins, go on, mate.
I think I'm going to say exactly what you are.
I was going to say if Cody wins and he's kind of like thrust into that main event spot, then I think the past year, as insane as we all thought Vince was for sending Brock out to attack him for no reason the night after WrestleMania last year, because that was ridiculous.
It didn't make any sense.
Yeah, it didn't. But in hindsight, the run that he's had with like the praise from Cena, from Brock, I think potentially with Randy as an opponent as well, I think that Cody is now ready for that main event, and he might not have been a year ago. That's what I was going to say.
I mean, the problem I had with Cody last year, and to be honest, I've still got a bit of an issue with it, is what happens next.
Randy,
because so you got Randy, but that was something that we didn't have last year. So there's perfect. First defenses is against Randy, then potentially Gunther will be ready at that point, or somebody else. I don't think Cody gets a massive run, because I don't feel like you can, after Roman's thing, I don't think you can.
Well, that was going to be my next question, boys.
Survivor Series.
When Cody wins the title, how long do you think it's going to be for?
Survivor Series. You give him that.
Okay, I'm going for Bash and Berlin. I'm going for Bash at Berlin. Loses to Gunther.
That's like 4 months.
Yeah. I know a couple of guys on the online that think Cody's going to get until the next night.
Okay, I mean, that would be quite cool if you done it right, because it caused murder, and then you've got the chasers on, isn't it? When's the next Saudi show?
Si, we've lost you. I can just look at your ceiling.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, slight technical malfunction.
Cough twice if you're in Milwaukee.
Stay. Okay. Sorry,
I'm not sure. I think the next Saudi show is in June.
Okay, maybe the October Saudi. Cody loses it to Rock. Cody could get WrestleMania done, get out of WrestleMania with the belt. And we don't see. No. Listen to me. Yeah, we could have. If you want to get through to next WrestleMania, I'm thinking if you wanted to do that match for the title and you wanted to do it fully, you could have The Rock have a few matches. Saudi October, he beats Cody for the belt, and then WrestleMania, it's him versus face Roman for the title.
Entirely possible. It is, believe it or not, entirely possible, as part of The Rock's contract was a competing contract. Rock's contract does have him competing more than once, so he is due to have more than one match. So I can completely understand this. I just don't think they're going to put the title on him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they will or they won't. But if it makes, do you know what? A wise man once said, "Make it make sense," right? I think we say this every week, but the thing is, that's that guy down there for anyone who looks. But if you are going down the high chief route with Rock, because I know I keep saying it's only a little thing on that graphic, but it really resonates with me. And if you're going to go down that route of the high chief wins the title and you're looking for the Roman Reigns baby push, then you could do that, and you could have the high chief as the final high boss for Roman somewhere along the line. I don't know how you get there, but I'm just saying it's a possibility.
Right. Let me ask you this. Main event of WrestleMania Night 1 looks like it's going to be The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. Yeah?
Yeah.
Main event of Night 2 is going to be Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, which means that both Rhodey and Roman and Cody. Try that again. Tell I've been.
I bet you couldn't even do that again.
These things out. So
right, can we get this recorded? Hold on, Andy. Can we get this recorded after the show and just insert it into the intro for like the next every week until Mania? Yeah,
I bet you couldn't even say that again if he wanted to.
Rody and Coleman.
No, Rody and Coleman does not come across properly. But with Cody and Roman, they're doing double duty. This also means Seth is doing double duty. Because Seth, the Elimination Chamber is to determine the number one contenders match for Seth at WrestleMania. Now, my next question is, with the Elimination Chamber coming up, who wins? I think there's only one choice.
Yeah, it's true.
So, the DM Punk will win it. I love that, I think it's brilliant.
DM Punk.
Or, do you know what, mate? It wouldn't surprise me if The Rock won it. It wouldn't, because at the moment it looks like there's going to be a tag team match because it's got all four of them on the thingy, on the graphic and stuff. But what if them four facing each other are two separate single matches?
Entirely possible, except The Rock's already said he's not going to be in Australia, and WWE have said he's not going to be in Australia.
So,
and TKO have said he's not going to be in Australia.
Does it, mate? But if he turned around and directed them to say that, he would.
Yeah, but also they're not going to risk The Rock's health and injury in the Elimination Chamber that close to Mania.
But you put him in at the last person, and then he goes out, does a bit and bobs. And
but it's not Royal Rumble. You can't save it till a surprise. He's got to be in there from the start of the match.
Yeah, but he's sitting off.
I don't think you can keep someone like The Rock secret traveling to Australia. It's not.
Well, you can, because you hired on. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's
going to be in Australia. Bronson Reed, right? Now, how cruel was that?
Oh,
right?
He is.
Great win for Lashley, but he doesn't get to compete at the first Premier Live event in his home country.
For the women, they are doing a losers battle royal. Sorry, a last chance battle royal. So all of the losers of the qualifying matches go into a battle royal, and the winner goes through. Rumor has it Jade Cargill will also be entered into that battle royal, and that will what gets her in the elimination chamber.
And also, did you see Bronson Reed's interview on WWE.com?
No, I did not.
No,
I've let the whole of Australia down. I'm sorry, and
wow.
So obviously there's a
plan.
It
was a good spear, but
he's going to win the battle royal.
Yeah, there's a plan there.
I think definitely doing that. Haven't we got the other two matches announced still?
Logan Paul versus Miz and Kevin Owens versus your boy Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah, so that makes 6 because there's already 4 qualified. So I think the battle royal thing might just be for the women's.
Entirely possible.
Yeah, but I don't think Bronson's going to miss out, because, as I say, they wouldn't have let him go on to WWE.com and do all that stuff if he was just going to be.
He could get on the card somewhere else.
Yeah, maybe Logan Paul fights him. Logan Paul loses.
Well, Gunther needs an opponent for Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, I think Logan Paul beats The Miz, and the reason being is I feel like that because of all the stuff with Maurice going on, I feel like he won't want to let him travel to Australia.
Yes, I would tend to agree.
Makes sense.
I think Logan beats Miz as well, and I'm sorry to say it, but I think Kevin Owens is beating Dom.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I hope they do Kevin Owens and Logan Paul at some point, because I really want to get to Logan Paul versus LA Knight at WrestleMania. I really want that. Like,
thinking through this Judgment Day thing as well. Sorry, segue. It just came in my head then. I think we're going to end up with an 8-man tag at WrestleMania. The way they're doing with like DIY.
That's next Monday.
With Miz and Truth.
That's next Monday.
The 8-man is next Monday?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No, I think we get at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think potentially we get tag team championships. I don't know though, because you know what, right? I've got a feeling we might see a cash in at WrestleMania, and if we do, I think they'll want to keep Damian Priest away before he makes his cash in.
I don't see us getting a cash in at Mania. Priest did an interview the other day where he was talking about the fact that he has till July. He doesn't understand why everyone's trying to rush him. The fact is, in his own words, Seth isn't medically cleared, so I'm not allowed to cash in on him right now. He goes, and the other guy's never there.
Yeah,
he says not till July. He doesn't understand why everyone's trying to rush him. There's a plan in motion, and he will succeed.
Yeah, I still think that there's going to be something. I mean, one thing that I will say is if Seth gets hurt in the tag match, which is very possible, you've always got that wild card of Damian Priest cashing in after the tag match, which then keeps the match going the next night, but also saves Seth. So, I don't think we'll see a cash in before then, but I think you could have Damian waiting in Gorilla just on the off chance anything goes bad.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's a contingency plan, isn't it?
It is indeed. But to move over to the other side of the fence, lads, for a little bit, because we spent an awful lot of time in WWE in the last few weeks, and I think
because it's good.
Ignored. Yeah, so's AEW. It's just not as good at the moment. But AEW may be allowed to get a lot better due to the fact of the frequent and rumored acquisition of Kazuchika Okada.
Very disappointed.
Now, I'm disappointed, as I know we all are, that Okada is not going to WWE. But I think we have to say it kind of makes sense that he's ended up in AEW from his standpoint.
From his
point. A lot of his friends are there. He still gets to work with Japan if he wants to. There's a lot there for Okada. He already knows how the company works. He knows he'll get to see his vision of what his character is pushed forward as opposed to the company's vision of what his character is, which is why a lot of guys sign with AEW over WWE.
Right. No, counterpoint on this. I literally do not get it. Yes, I'm biased, and I wanted Okada in WWE for some of the dream matches over there. Guys like Nakamura, Gunther, Cody. There would have been some fantastic wrestling matches. He said, or it was translated as he said, he wanted to go to the States at age 36, 37, whatever he is, because it might be his last chance to have a crack at the big time and be a big star in American wrestling. Yeah, that's why he's left when he has. And I got emotional this morning watching him bow down and touch the lion one last time in the center of the ring. I've been an Okada fan for 10 years. Here's why I don't want him in AEW. Because we've had so many crossovers from Forbidden Doors to Rev Pro shows to New Japan Strong shows to AEW shows where the Japanese talent on New Japan have already wrestled pretty much every dream match we've got against American wrestlers. So why go to AEW and just keep repeating essentially what you've already been doing?
Yeah.
If you really want to make it to the big time, it's the wrong choice.
Yeah. And I think also,
but at the same time, you have to look at it from Okada's perspective. His
from
friends
a personal, from a
Tony Khan has clearly offered him a hell of a lot of money.
But that's all it is, though.
Because realistically, that's what it comes down to: is Tony Khan beat WWE's offer.
All it comes down to, Nick, is money. The fact that he could potentially still live in Japan, and that's it. So your comment before really annoys me, and it really annoys me when I see people put it online of he'll have control of his storylines. He'll have this. No, he won't. Did Jay White? Does any of them? Well, it's
Jay White is a perfect example of why Okada should be wary transitioning from New Japan to AEW.
Yeah.
Agreed. But the only reason Jay White's in AEW is because there was a hiring freeze on at WWE at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, all I'm saying is, how's Miro getting on?
Miro's not Kazuchika Okada.
No, but your actual wording was people go. Sorry, no, but your wording was to this, which is where it's relevant. Is they go there, they have control over their own characters, and
no, I didn't say they go there. Don't put words in my mouth.
I said
he clearly believes he will have more control and see his vision of his character come forward.
Okay,
unlike in WWE, where you will see WWE's vision of your character come forward.
And what did you say?
Jay White, regardless of
what did you say? What did you say afterwards? What did you say after that?
Well, what did I say after that?
Which is being an attraction, what people have seen. If you're watching that, mate, that is not an attraction of what you've seen. In my opinion, Miro, Keith Lee, Jay White.
Well, Keith Lee's injured for bollocks.
But even
Jay White is being presented exactly the same way. He's just been mishandled. But he's still being presented as the same guy.
No, the cape was a big mistake. And Keith has been very unlucky with his health issues. So I think that's a bit of an exception. But to be fair, it's round pegs, square pegs, round holes, square holes. Some guys fit better in one company, one style than the other. And I would argue that there are some wrestlers out there that should never be suggesting their own character work, that should never be writing their own promos. But there are others, maybe on the other side of the fence, that aren't allowed to do it nearly as much as they should. You know, it's not ideal either way. I don't think Okada, when it comes to character, I've lost my camera again. When it comes to character, apologies.
Technical issues, it's fine.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, this is karma for making fun of your misspeak before, isn't it?
Oh. All it is, Si, you just demonstrating Okada's career once he joins AEW.
The light's looking at the ceiling. No. If it's character you're interested in, I mean, guys, apart from being broken and carrying around balloons for a year, when has Okada ever really had like a character? He is the character. That would work just as well in both companies. So I don't think.
Yeah, but you have to admit they don't do that in WWE. When was the last time someone got brought into WWE and they were presented exactly the same outside of Cody Rhodes?
AJ Styles.
AJ ain't presented exactly the same. And he wasn't when he came in, and you can't tell me he was.
Jade Cargill.
Sorry, I've followed AJ's career since WCW. He was not presented the exact same way in WWE as he was in TNA. In any way, shape, or form.
Goldberg.
No. Goldberg in his second run was presented like Bill Goldberg. And in the run when he shouldn't have been presented like Bill Goldberg. But when he first came in, he was presented as Triple H's bitch.
Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny's a celebrity. He doesn't count.
Johnny Gargano.
Main roster Johnny compared to NXT Johnny.
Fair, I get the point you're making, but nowadays in the post-Vince era, which is the golden age of wrestling, we do see more real with the volume turned up a bit, rather than like.
As I said, we do have guys like Cody and Jade Cargill.
Yeah,
lost an earphone. We do have guys like Cody and Jade Cargill that have basically proven that if WWE want to, they can present you as the force you were outside of the company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if we look at Shinsuke Nakamura as the perfect and the only real example you can have for a Japanese superstar brought into WWE, Shinsuke Nakamura, the king of strong style, went through 8 gimmicks changes in WWE because they couldn't figure out what to do with him before eventually they've turned the clock back and gone back to what he was when he first came in NXT. Because that's how WWE's machine works. They put you through the meat grinder and they try and change you to be what they want you to be because they can own the IP.
But that
they can't own the Rainmaker. Kazuchika Okada owns it himself.
It's not exclusive to WWE. AEW screwed up Danhausen in exactly the same way. They screwed up Miro in exactly the same way.
No. I completely agree. But I'm saying, as playing Okada's devil's advocate, he clearly believes that he will be able to present himself as himself more in AEW than he would have in WWE.
I don't. I think he's just done it for the money and for the fact that he can still live in Japan. But also, how dare you miss out to Tozawa when you're talking about famous Japanese wrestlers?
Andy,
Shocker.
Andy, I'm calling bullshit on this one. Did you ever watch Tozawa wrestle when he was in Japan?
No, I didn't.
Right. That's what I thought.
Yeah, but he's still a legend. And also, we're talking about Funaki as well. Indeed. But now, in all seriousness, I think one thing I'd say in WWE's defense, and it's probably something that AEW could learn a lot from, is AEW are buying, and you know, say you've just did the nail on the head. Did I watch Japan? No, I've grown to like Japan now, and I watch it with you, as you know, and I respect it and I like it. But before I had somebody like you who showed me it and stuff like that, I didn't watch it because there's too much wrestling to consume. I don't have the time to. So I pretty much stick with AEW, I'll watch WWE. Now, WWE, what they do is, say you're, I don't know, a pop star, right? And you're singing in nightclubs and stuff like that. And then you move on to maybe academies, yeah? And then you get a manager who'll come in and say to you, right, we're going to change your hairstyle, we're going to change your clothing, we're going to change the backstory of you. and we're
So
going
exactly like Jim Herd
music.
tried to do to Ric Flair.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, look at that. Ric Flair still had his style, mate, that appealed to the masses, right or wrongly. But what I'm trying to say is like Tony Khan might go, I've got a Okada. Okada will only appeal to a segmentation of the wrestling community, which is the
This is
AEW
true,
hardcore fans and
but
stuff. Yeah,
since when has Tony Khan given a shit about anybody other than the AEW hardcore?
exactly. Yeah, but I'm talking about Okada. I'm not
Since he
talking about
launched
Yeah, but
Tony
Okada
realistically.
will appeal to the AEW hardcores. They all know who he is.
Yeah, no, I know that. But what I'm saying is, if you wait with me, what you're saying about the fact is Okada will have this control and whatever else, or you know, he'll
No, I'm saying he clearly believes that he will be able to present himself more as what he sees himself as in AEW.
Yeah, he will do, but then to me, he's contradicting his statement on the fact of that he wants to go over and be a big star in America, because WWE will change him, and as Sai says now, potentially not change him too much, but just trim him a little bit to make him more appealing to the widespread audience. AEW won't do that, so I don't feel like going to AEW is what his statement is going to come true. That's basically what I'm trying to say is, you know, and that's where when you say WWE will change this and change that, yet they will, because WWE are not trying to target a segmentation of audience. They're trying to target everybody, so they will do that.
And they want to own the IP.
Well, yeah, obviously they want to own the IP, but also, you know, I feel like the IP was a thing that come in. But if you look back in the early days, when I don't believe, if I'm right, WWE did own the IPs in the early days, but they still changed people's characters because, again, it was still to make sure that it was going to the masses rather than individual things. Do you know what I mean?
And I cite yet again the travesty that was Shinsuke Nakamura's last 8 years in the company.
Well,
dude,
being the closest thing to Kazuchika Okada that they could have got their hands on. At the time, the hottest Japanese star on the planet, and WWE cocked it up for 8 years.
No, disagree. And here's why I disagree. Firstly, his first 12 to 18 months running NXT was absolutely mint, right?
Agreed.
I'd go back and watch it again in a heartbeat. The Sami Zayn match, originally in NXT, as good as the Raw match was last night, the NXT one blew it away. He had a great run in NXT. Since he's come to the main roster, there's been a couple of injury issues. Yes, he likes to spend a lot of time surfing. He was never used properly as Intercontinental Champion. But how many belts has he won? Tag belts, US belts, IC belts, a Royal Rumble, fantastic match with AJ Styles at WrestleMania.
Main event of WrestleMania.
A lot of the gimmick tweaks have just been like the way his vignettes have been presented or the colors that he wears. His character hasn't actually changed that much. It's been subtle. So I'm going to defend that one. Yeah.
Well, we'll agree to disagree on that one because the artist Shinsuke Nakamura was the biggest pile of trash I've seen in about 9 years.
Can I ask you a question then, Nick, right? Is Shinsuke Nakamura a bigger worldwide star now than when he joined?
Of course he is.
Job done then, isn't it?
Well, that's not the argument that's being made.
If
well,
that's
it is.
What people care about.
It's not.
Because if we go back,
I'm not talking about whether you're going to be a big worldwide star.
You might not be. But go back to your statements about what you said. Okada said.
Okada said, "I believe that he believes he will be able to present himself more as himself."
No. Not what you believe he said. What was his actual statement that you said that he made?
The one that I read.
I didn't.
Yeah. Sorry, the one that you read.
I read something along the lines of how now he's 36, 37, and it's time to sign or re-sign. It could be his last chance at his age to move to America and try and be a big international star.
There you go.
I might be wrong.
So if that's what he said, right, based on what Shinsuke Nakamura done, is Shinsuke Nakamura a big international star?
Yeah, relatively.
Yeah. So therefore, whether or not us wrestling hardcore fans believe WWE have used him right or wrongly, if he had the same trajectory as what Nakamura was, he would realise his objective, would he not?
But well, let me ask you this. Is Kenny Omega a big international star now?
No.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
Is John Moxley a big international star?
No.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
No, he is, Andy. Just because they
No,
don't
he's not.
work for WWE,
It's
doesn't
not
mean
because
they
of that,
aren't
right?
going
Well,
internationally.
no, the way I look
Moxley
at
never
it,
worked for WWE. Jonathan Good is a big international star. John Moxley, the character, isn't. Dean Ambrose, the character, was.
Yeah. Now, the
Jonathan
one
Good
thing that the
is.
reason that I look at international star, right, mate, is if we were to get when I go into my office, for instance, people always say about us going to WrestleMania and stuff like that. Yeah. Now, people would turn around and reference Brock Lesnar. People will reference John Cena. Everyone knows who The Rock is. Yeah. A lot of people in our work will reference Cody Rhodes nowadays. Not one person, if I even said, do you know who Kenny Omega is, they'd say no. If I asked them if they knew who John Moxley was, they'd say no. Right? And that is the difference between an international wrestling star from wrestling fans and an international mainstream star.
I totally
and that
agree
is
with
the
Andy.
difference.
I do. But it's got to be said that for some people, they want the fame, the fortune, the celebrity. They want to be that superstar, whether it's to transition to something else or to be the best in the business. But to others, they want the freelance to create art and portray their character in their matches the way they want to do.
Exactly.
And, there's no right and wrong.
No,
different guys, different girls will want different things.
And just for the record, I really like Kenny Omega. I really do like Kenny Omega, and I think he is awesome, and he is really, really an artist in the ring.
Get well soon, Kenny.
If you ask me the question of do I feel like he's an international superstar? No, he is not. Do I think he's a wrestling superstar? Yes, I do. But to me, there is a big difference.
Well, there is a big difference, but we're going to stick with AEW, and we're going to move on to something that is a little bit more contentious, but I think we'll all actually agree on.
More contentious?
Yeah, because this one pisses me off.
Okay.
Now, last week, Sting did something he said he never wanted to do in AEW, and he won a tag team championship. Which, when it was argued to him, kind of made sense. They're an undefeated tag team. They haven't lost a match in 3 years. They really should have had a shot at the tag team titles by now in kayfabe. But now, it annoys me. Why the hell are they putting the tag team championships on Sting just so in his last match he can put over the young fucks?
Joke. I mean, there's still a chance that they could lose it before the match. You could have the Young Bucks cost them the title, maybe, if he wants to go down that route, or you could have Sting retire with the belt. But I don't know. I'm the same as you, mate. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, there's one good thing that could potentially come out of this, and that is, as we know in the past, if you get the tag team division, particularly since the introduction of the trios division, tends to get squandered a bit, and quite often the tag champs are on Rampage or sometimes Collision. Whereas in the past, when the Bucks have had the tag team belts, they're on Dynamite every week. So it would actually elevate the tag title belts, even though I can't stand the Young Bucks.
No, but what annoys me about the whole thing is, and I've ranted about this before, but I'm going to rant about it again. There is one person in the AEW locker room, in the AEW roster, that should be having Sting's last match, and that's his tag team partner. No. Darby Allin has put the last 3 years of his career on hold to be Sting's tag team partner, on the promise of the initial payoff that it was going to elevate him by the end of it. What would have elevated Darby more than having Sting's last match? Anyone?
Right, look, mini rant before I answer this. Do you remember Sting in WCW in the year 2000, going into 2001?
Yes.
He was in a stable with two men. Do you remember who they were? Pop quiz. All right, I shall tell you.
Vampiro
was one. And the other one?
That was the Brothers in Paint.
The Brothers in Paint?
Or Vampiro
and Dark Carnival. Anyway, the other one was the Fabulous Musa. Yeah? Now, they were put together, and Vince Russo has said since the time that they were all put together because they wear white face makeup.
Yeah.
How contentious is that? That's as bad as having matches because of a shampoo commercial or whatever. But it was done then. And Tony Khan, being the fan he is, and I will give him credit for that fact, has gone back to that. And he's thought, Sting, white face paint. Darby Allin, white face paint. Let's put them together. and it kind of stuck in a father-son kind of way. And I would argue with you, Nick, that this has never been about Darby, right? If Darby makes a main event star and a solo star on his own, all the credit in the world to him. But I don't think this has been about him, right? This journey has been the push. It's not about the destination for Darby. It's been about the journey. And he's been lucky to have Sting by his side for as long as he has, elevating him.
Oh, no, to a certain extent, I'll give you that. But don't you have to admit that it's basically all pointless for Darby without a destination? All journeys have got to end somewhere. And apparently Darby's journey ends putting over the young fucks.
But does it though, or does Sting stay on as his manager?
No. Sting's already said he's done after Revolution.
You always need, right? Go back to WCW in 91, 92. Beautiful Bobby Eaton, perhaps the best bumper, the best guy on the whole roster at putting other people over, making other people look gold.
And the most ironically named man in the world.
You need lovable mid-card stars like that, lose more than they win. And to me, Darby would be fantastic at that. Playing the Sami Zayn role, the journeyman role. There's no reason, not everybody has to win the world titles. He's great at what he does. And part of the reason he's got so much acknowledgement for what he does is because of Sting. He's already had that rub.
Yeah, but at the same time, Darby Allin should be winning world titles in AEW.
Why should he?
Why shouldn't he would be a more appropriate question.
No, don't get me wrong.
Sacrifices more physically than anyone in the locker room.
Yeah, but isn't he?
That means the drum for that company like nobody else.
But just because he sacrifices himself doesn't mean that he deserves to be a world champion.
Yeah, but he also toes the company line, does exactly as he's told, is one of the most over people on the roster, and that's what it really boils down to.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point, mate, to be honest. I'd say when I'm saying tell me why he does, I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve it because I like Darby, think he's really good. But I'm just saying, just because he's good and stuff doesn't mean he deserves the world championship.
He's good, he's great, he tries, but I totally agree with Andy. It's like you've got guys like Andrade they did nothing with. Every day of the week, I would pick Andrade as a world champion or a world title contender over someone like Darby Allin.
Wardlow,
Miro, Pac.
Cage.
Where did he go? Penta, Phoenix. The amount of talent on that roster that, in my mind, is a notch above Darby. And that's why Darby's good at doing what he's been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll say this now, lads. We have one thing in common. We're all old. Darby Allin isn't a wrestler that's designed to appeal to us.
Can I just
Darby Allin is a wrestler that
can I just stop you there, though?
The younger generation.
Can I just stop you there, right? So obviously we attended a All In last year. Me and Ashton were watching a lot of AEW in the lead up to it. Ashton did not care about Darby Allin in the slightest. Not one bit.
Yeah, but that's 1 in 1,000, Andy.
What's that? But how do you know that?
Because you can see at least 500 children with their faces painted at every single AEW show.
But then, and you're going to hate me for this, I'm going to piss you both off beyond extreme because there's tension in the air tonight. Should you have somebody there that is attracting under 14-year-olds to a show with blood and guts on it regularly and bad language and profanity? Because I think the answer is no.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's on the parents, not on the company.
Yeah, I mean, we could argue about this for hours.
I'd probably say more with the Days trials. I'd probably say 11, mate. It's probably more of a thingy because these kids are a lot more clued up nowadays than what we were when we were younger.
Right, but moving on, because it's that time of the show again, lads. When I turn around and I ask you, what do you want to talk about?
Okay, I've got one straight away. So I forgot to mention this before, but our vote to Seth Rollins last night on his on the promo he done with Cody, thought it was fantastic. And the bit where Cody says, "Thanks for helping me," and he says, "What can they say? That's a welcome." I thought that was absolutely spot on.
and the bit that got me was the "I'll be your shield," not just because it was a reference to the Shield, but also because it kind of made you think of Cody as Captain America, which is kind of like Lex and the Lex Express. Also, a bit of Codelander thrown in. I just thought it was deep on so many levels. It was a great little.
Yeah, there are certain layers to it last night.
Yes.
No, but that's probably the best promo Seth's cut in a considerable amount of time.
No.
Platform heels as well.
Yeah, let's be fair. The one that he done for Cody trying to convince him to do the belt was just as good. I just think like Seth's on a bit of a good run at the moment. I feel like,
Well, this had real legs to it. This promo had real legs to it. This promo took your mind back. It kept it in the present at the same time, and it still guided you on the path where they needed you to go. It was very well structured.
And one thing I will say, gentlemen, is I feel like we are officially on the road to WrestleMania, because if you see everybody across the thing, they all seem to be knocking it out the park with promos, really putting it in there at the moment. And to me, that always shouts WrestleMania season to me.
Yeah. Yep. I have to say, I meant to ask you about this, Andy, before. What did you think about Cody pulling the Rock's promo on Pat McAfee and Bart?
I thought it was funny. I thought it was dead funny. And I thought Pat McAfee's face when he was going, shove it up your ass. That was dead funny.
And then you heard him say, oh, did they hear me say that on camera? Can I just say on that note, if I've not said before, how fantastic it is to have Pat back in WWE, particularly on the Raw brand, because that 3 hours now just goes like a breeze with Pat on commentary. Just the energy the guy brings is fantastic. Yeah. What I wanted to talk about this week was what happened right before what we were talking about with the Seth promo, and that was the 6-man tag, right? How excited are you guys for Gunther defending against Jay next week? And do you think we're going to get to see a title change?
I feel like if we're going to get the Jay Jimmy match, it will happen, because I feel like that really helps that match. I feel like that really adds to it. But I don't know, because it depends on. I think we either get a Jay win or a screwy finish, because if they're not going to go down Jay Jimmy route and they're going to do Gunther Jay at WrestleMania, we'll get a screw finish, or maybe we'll get a Jay win. But one thing that we know is whatever happens next week, it's not going to transfer over to Elimination Chamber, because unfortunately Gunther can't go, can he?
Yep.
Sorry, lads. I was trying to sort my headset out. For some reason, only one of my earphones decided to work today, so you're both very quiet.
How about you, Nick? The question was, do you think Jey Uso is going to beat Gunther next week?
Hell no.
All right, so I'm just on the fence.
Hell no. I like Jey Uso. I think Jey Uso is a good worker, but I think Jimmy's twice as good as he is. As far as Jimmy's character work goes and everything else, he blows Jey out of the water. And also, I think there's only one person taking that IC title off Gunther, and his name's Ludwig Kaiser.
Unfortunately, his name's Bron Breakker.
You're probably right.
I'll bet you 50 pence on this.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that I'm willing to put money on this year is that Gunther beats Cody at Bash of Berlin. You want to strap a rocket to somebody and make a new star, you have them win the world title in their, well, I know he's technically from Austria, but in their home country.
Yeah.
That's the first ever big show in, I believe they did do the first European Championship was crowned in Berlin between British Bulldog and Owen Hart.
Yes, British Bulldog beat Owen Hart in the final. If you ever go back, just nostalgia-wise, and watch the actual show that was taped on, some of the matches that you never got to see anywhere else were great.
Yeah,
I think we had that
match was
the Rock against Bret Hart, Vader against Triple H. There were matches, Sid against Mankind. You know, maybe not that great on paper, but you'd never seen them before on big shows. It's a great little hard to watch.
Yeah, and that match between Owen and Bulldog was one of the Bulldog's best.
It was fantastic. Yeah.
It was indeed. Right, lads. But unless anyone's got anything to plug, that's the show.
Bye.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to ask you to join me on February 18th as the Drip King, Jimmy Jet Bay, the resident Wrestling With Your Thoughts heavyweight champion of the world, defends his title against Mr. Devin Andrews on the 18th of February at around 10 p.m. UK time. I don't know what that is for you Americans. You'll have to figure it out yourselves.
That's 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific.
Thank you, Simon. Okay. Right, ladies and gents. But if you enjoy what we do here at Wrestle Legion, if you like the content we're putting out, please subscribe to the channel and join the Legion. It really helps us out. It's free. It's the only way the YouTube algorithm goes that we exist. But in the meantime, we are just three geeks obsessed with a good show, and our opinion means nothing without yours in the comments below. So, see you next week.
Wrestling Legion. We make it make sense.